españolas. Y por eso que yo digo que el día 7 de octubre se registró un cambio estratégico en la causa palestina. ¿Qué es el cambio estratégico? Es nosotros, desde 1947 hasta hoy, que hay muchas resoluciones cogidas o adaptadas por las Naciones Unidas y a lo mejor también lo que de ayer, la última resolución apoyada por una tregua humanitaria en la Franja de Gaza. Desde aquel momento, desde dos resoluciones más importantes y las Naciones Unidas han cogido lo que es el 181 en el 70, en el 47 y el 194 del 48. Estas dos soluciones, que esto es lo que debía que por lo menos ejercerla al suelo. Y así terminar la situación, lo que estamos. Pero lo que pasa desde el 70, desde el día 7 de octubre y pasando, la mala noticia, lo que hemos recibido en aquel día, el día 8 y 9, es la presentación, la visita del presidente de Estados Unidos y el presidente de la Francia y el canciller de Alemania y otros de Italia y otros países dando el apoyo incondicional a lo que ha hecho el ejército israelí contra la población palestina, contra los niños y mujeres. ¿Por qué digo esto? Porque hoy día, desde ayer, el presidente norteamericano ya ha cambiado su situación por su acercamiento de su reelección de las elecciones norteamericanas, me parece, vendrá en el mes que viene después de Navidades. Por eso que está cambiando la situación y cambiando su política hacia la situación en lo que estamos viviendo. Pero lo que pasa con todo esto, nosotros, yo por ejemplo, hemos vivido bajo los bombardeos con mis amigos 35 días de bombardeo desde mi casa, donde vivo en el campamento de refugiados de Jabalia, en el norte de Franja de Gaza, pasando por la ciudad de Gaza y luego pasando por la ciudad de Rafah, donde nos han dicho el Consulado General de España en Jerusalén, ya podéis salir al Cairo, pero hemos quedado en Rafah casi 40 días esperando para venir aquí y hemos venido aquí con la ayuda de las fuerzas aéreas españolas y con un avión militar. Hemos llegado aquí a Madrid y luego hemos venido aquí. Lo que pasa es que con este mes que hemos vivido, la verdad, la situación, lo que está viviendo el pueblo palestino, el pueblo de Gaza, es en todas las zonas. Por ejemplo, en el norte de Palestina y desde Gaza, la frontera con los Nusayrat y la ciudad de Khan Yunis y de Rafah, y esto, la verdad, que han destruido, en particular, decimos, las universidades, los hospitales, lo que están el Shifa y la Auda y el Indonesia, todos los le han destruido, totalmente destruidos, y la población destruida ahí a partir de lo que están diciendo así. Y toda la gente que han perdido todo lo que han tenido durante varios años durante su vida. Por ejemplo, yo tengo 71 años y yo estuve trabajando profesor casi más de 40 años y así estudiado. Lo hemos perdido todo en minutos en estas 2 semanas. ¿Por qué? Porque el derecho internacional humano y la Carta Universal de los Derechos Humanos no afecta nada al derecho de los humanos palestinos. A lo mejor que estas cartas, lo que nosotros festejamos en la fiesta, es decir, el 74 años de las declaraciones de los derechos humanos, que en estos días ya son 74. ¿Por qué han hecho estas cartas? Después, a través de la Segunda Guerra Mundial, y por este motivo. Nosotros en Franja de Gaza, porque para decirlo, nosotros en Franja de Gaza, la verdad, están en una cárcel, en un cementerio, pero todavía, y la mayoría, que hay muchos de ellos vivos, pero con la bombardeo o con la falta de comer, falta de todo, y medios de sanitario y de todo, que me parece que la muerte y al fin y al cabo para el resto de la gente. Nosotros lo que podemos decir una cosa, llevamos aquí más de 2 meses con esta guerra. Esta guerra que ha sido el inicio contra los civiles, el cual genocidio del ocupante israelí contra los residentes civiles palestinos en Gaza. Existe más de 1.600 matanzas, con resultado más de 20.000 personas perdieron la vida y más de 42.000 personas resultaron heridas y más de 25.000 personas y ciudadanos siguen desaparecidos bajo los escombros de sus hogares. Del total de las víctimas existe más del 70% son niños, mujeres y ancianos. Y más de 1,5 millones de los palestinos, eso es lo que están viviendo en la ciudad de Gaza y la ciudad de norte de Gaza. Es el campamento de Jabalia, la ciudad de Jabalia, la ciudad de Bet Hanun y la ciudad de Bet Lahia. Estos que tienen casi más de 300 o 500.000 personas y el resto en Franja de Gaza, porque en la ciudad de Gaza es la mayor ciudad. Sí. Todos estos, la mayoría de ellos se trasladaron al sur, a Rafah. Ahora mismo que están en tiendas de campo en la frontera con Egipto y los aviones lo están bombardeando. Y nosotros, la verdad, no sabemos que estos planes israelíes y esta matanza represalias israelí contra los civiles españoles, nosotros, los niños, las mujeres, los civiles, no tienen nada que ver con lo que está diciendo el gobierno israelí, que somos todos de resistencia de Palestina. Y esto nosotros lo podemos decir que estas cosas, lo que están diciendo los israelíes, que siempre que están en mente al mundo en particular, al mundo de Estados Unidos y al mundo occidental, con el fin de la limpieza étnica del pueblo palestino. Pero nosotros lo que podemos decir que aparte de la destrucción de las universidades, la destrucción de los hospitales, ya no existen hospitales. Ahora, casi más de 21 hospitales y 110 centros médicos que están ya todos destruidos. Y aparte de esto, más de 275 escuelas destruidas. Las escuelas, ¿por qué es importante? Porque la gente que están en estas escuelas, en este refugio de la gente, lo que están en la Franja de Gaza. Y así las bombas israelíes y las bombas y las toneladas lo que echan contra el pueblo ahí matan cada día. Por ejemplo, dentro de 24 horas, más de 15 matanzas ha sido. ¿Y qué quiere decir matanza? Quiere decir en cada matanza entre 20 y 50 personas lo matan, mujeres, niños y ancianos, y no podemos decir que no, como el resto, si ven las noticias, todo esto lo puede llegar a una cuestión muy... Pero lo que pasa, que lo que voy a decir, que como una cuesta así, para no tardar mucho, que voy a decir que Israel está planeando aniquilar a los palestinos en Gaza. Y un cálculo de 2 meses de genocidio de matanzas contra los civiles palestinos, destrucciones y desplazamientos en la franja de Gaza organizadas por el ejército de la ocupación israelí son distribuidas entre. Y estas para saber cómo lo que pasa con el pueblo palestino. 45.000 muertos, mártires y desaparecidos a razón de diariamente 750 personas muertas por el día. En total, cada día. Y luego 46.000 toneladas de explosivos a razón de 21 kilogramos por cada ciudadano en Franja de Gaza. La tasa de 1 kilo de explosivos por cada 9 metros cuadrados. Y luego el crimen superó cualquier imaginación. La verdad, yo con el 71 años nunca ni leído ni he visto. Hasta en la Primera y la Segunda Guerra Mundial, yo he leído bastante sobre esto. No lo he visto como lo que ha pasado en menos de 2 meses, más de 2 bombas atómicas, como lo que anexaron a Nagasaki en Japón, y de la guerra mundial de los estados. La verdad que nosotros lo que estamos diciendo, que la verdad está la situación y la guerra. ¿Qué podemos hacer nosotros? Nosotros con la comunidad internacional, con los pueblos libres del mundo, lo que tenemos que hacer es medir, dando cuenta que la guerra de Israel contra Franja de Gaza tiene objetivos económicos y aparte de los militares. ¿Qué son objetivos militares? Yo voy a decir una frase que le dijo un analista israelí, escritor israelí, que dice, él se llama Nahum Barania, y escuchado de un ministro de derecha del gobierno de Israel. ¿Qué dice? Para saber que las cosas, lo que están diciendo los gobiernos israelíes, que son mentiras. ¿Cómo dice? Dice, si Yahya al-Sinwar saliera del túnel con las manos en alto y todos los secuestradores lo siguieron en una fila, esta guerra no terminará con una victoria. ¿Por qué? Porque el objetivo de la guerra es destruir las características del nuevo Oriente Medio. Me parece la historia de Trump y su política anterior. Determinar quién gobierna Gaza, quién va a gobernar, la autoridad palestina o gobierno israelí o Hamas. Determinar quién explotará su gas. Tenemos gas en el mar Mediterráneo, en la playa de Franja de Gaza. ¿Y quién tendrá éxito en la construcción del proyecto del Canal Ben Gurion? y el proyecto del corredor económico indio y otros para controlar económica y militarmente la región de Medio Oriente. Esto todo lo que ha dicho y lo que ha explicado así. Nosotros, para concluir mi intervención, lo puedo decir así. Primero, nosotros respetamos todas las organizaciones y los políticos que han apoyado el problema palestino y buscando para tener una tregua humanitaria y parar la guerra. Primero, presentamos todo nuestro apoyo al presidente de España, presidente Pedro Suárez. ¿Por qué? Porque el primer ministro de España, en su respaldo al señor Gutiérrez, en su invocación del artículo 99 de la Carta de las Naciones Unidas. Yo digo esto porque ningún gobierno árabe ha apoyado como lo que ha apoyado el gobierno de España. Y nosotros, y vosotros me parece saben cómo qué guerra ha abierto contra el presidente del gobierno. Y así también su apoyo de discutir en el Consejo de Seguridad, pero el veto norteamericano lo ha perdido todo. Presentamos todo nuestro apoyo al secretario general de las Naciones Unidas por aplicar este artículo y luego que hay presentamos a la Asamblea General de las Naciones Unidas que ha sacado o adoptado la última resolución o decisión ayer sobre la tregua y parar la guerra contra los civiles en la Franja de Gaza. Y luego condenamos enérgicamente la posición no ética y inhumana de la administración de Estados Unidos. Aún está cambiando su política, pero yo creo que todo es mentira para llegar a sus elecciones presidenciales, porque la mayoría de los árabes y de los musulmanes o los libres en Estados Unidos, me parece, no van a correr darle la voz para reelegirle otra vez, porque es como él declarado que es un sionista y si Israel no existe, que él quería existirla. Y así ha existido antes por sus pasados presidentes suyos. Y de tener el apoyo y la complicidad del silencio, dejando importantes consejos de seguridad de las Naciones Unidas. La verdad, como las cartas de las Naciones Unidas, las cartas de las organizaciones y todo, ha sido por la guerra, la Segunda Guerra Mundial. Y esto es todo para nosotros como palestinos, no nos ha servido nada. ¿Por qué? Porque nosotros rechazamos la política de doble rasero. Por ejemplo, hasta aquí en España, Ucrania y Palestina. En Ucrania daban todo lo que quieran y nosotros como ciudadanos al mismo tiempo que somos españoles no nos han tratado en manera lo que parecida a los ucranianos aquí en España, pero esperamos que resuelve esto todo. Y luego exigir a la comunidad internacional. Estoy acabando.
لازم ناخذ الوقت يعني ضيق.
لا
آسفة جدا. شكرا جزيلا للتعاون والكلام.
No entiendo en español.
Gracias, doctora Ili. Es que tenemos que dar paso a los otros tres profesores, tenemos muy poco tiempo y queremos luego también abrir al público la sesión. Muchísimas gracias.
Vale.
Y luego tendremos otra ronda de de intercambio. Discúlpenos, vamos a dar paso a...
Vale, de acuerdo, muchas gracias.
Rana. Ok. Professor Rana Karawish, please.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Me ha emocionado mucho las palabras del profesor Riyad y quiero decirle, alhamdulillah al-salama, parece que ha salido de la muerte. Salir de Gaza parece que ha salido de la muerte. Lamentablemente que estamos encontrando en esa situación tan complicada en Palestina, en la Franja de Gaza sobre todo. Ya son 68 días de genocidio y masacre. Y nos da mucha tristeza la falta de las voces políticas y legales para acabar con esa masacre. Pero nos da, la verdad que nos hace muy bien el apoyo y la empatía de los pueblos y por eso no faltamos de ninguna oportunidad para hablarlo y decirlo y alto y claro sobre la causa palestina. Yo soy profesora de Estudios Árabes y Europeos en la Universidad de Birzeit en el Departamento de Filosofía y Estudios Culturales. Voy a empezar hablando de la situación concreta de la Universidad de Birzeit desde el 7 de octubre. Desde el 7 de octubre hemos cambiado a la enseñanza electrónica por la situación política tan complicada en Cisjordania y la complicidad y el peligro también de moverse por los colonos y por los checkpoints y por todo. Hay mucha complicidad para llegar a la universidad, especialmente que hay muchos de los estudiantes y profesores en la Universidad de Birzeit que son de fuera de Ramallah, de Jerusalén, que es muy complicado pasar desde Jerusalén a Ramallah hoy en día, y también de otras ciudades para llegar a la Universidad de Birzeit también es un poco complicado y peligro. Otra cosa, que el día 8 de noviembre el ejército israelí rompió a la universidad. Es una violación de todas las leyes, costumbres y convenciones internacionales que penalizan los ataques a universidades o instituciones educativas. Esa no es la primera vez. Al principio de este curso también, el día 13 de septiembre, hicieron lo mismo. Y más, arrostraron a 8 estudiantes que estaban en la universidad. Estudiantes. Es otra cosa también que sufrimos mucho en la universidad, es arrastrar a estudiantes y profesores también. Hace poco arrastraron a un profesor de la universidad y arrastrar a estudiantes, eso pasa casi todos los días. Arrastrarlos desde sus alojamientos y casas o mientras están pasando por cualquier punto de control israelí. Y hay que decir que entre ellos había 3 chicas, pero fueron liberadas en la tregua. En general tenemos casi 120 estudiantes ahora arrastrados en la cárcel israelí. Bueno, para hablar también sobre cómo podemos hacer apoyo a la enseñanza en general en la universidad, podemos apoyar a la campaña por el derecho de la educación en todas las maneras posibles. Hay que buscar las maneras posibles para hacer cooperaciones, para apoyar el derecho de estudiar a los estudiantes palestinos. Y aquí estoy hablando de la zona de Cisjordania, porque la Franja de Gaza, como ha dicho el doctor Riyad, la cosa es muy complicada. el acto de bombardear las universidades y las escuelas, eso creo que hay que condenarlo y coger un paso real para condenar esto como académicos e institutos académicos. Voy a hablar también sobre las actividades que hacemos en ese tiempo, desde el 7 de octubre. El sindicato de profesores y empleados de la Universidad de Birzeit han publicado una carta en varios idiomas. No sé si alguien ha recibido esa carta o no, y puedo adjuntarla luego después de la reunión. Esa carta para no guardar silencio ante el genocidio y llamar a la comunidad académica internacional, a los sindicatos y los estudiantes a cumplir con su deber intelectual y académico de búsqueda de la verdad. Esto podemos hacerlo a través de varios pasos, por ejemplo, planes de estudios bien informados sobre la causa palestina, a través de charlas públicas, conferencias, reuniones, cualquier actividad que puede alzar la voz y deje que la voz de Palestina llegue a todo el mundo, y para que la nueva generación de estudiantes sean bien informados sobre la cuestión real de Palestina. Y en particular también, si voy a hablar sobre la universidad y el programa que tenemos un programa que es Estudios Árabes y Palestinos. Pues fortalecer los mecanismos de cooperación e intercambio en general. El programa de estudios árabes y palestinos en particular. ¿Por qué? Ese programa se centra en los estudiantes extranjeros, les ofrece varias asignaturas que pueden enriquecer sus conocimientos sobre el idioma árabe y la cultura y la historia palestina, y vivir la vida cotidiana en Palestina y tener la imagen correcta sobre la situación real en Palestina. Insistimos, la comunidad académica internacional, en responsabilizar a las universidades israelíes, que son parte del régimen de opresión colonial, un Estado colono impulsado por una ideología de odio. Basta de ideología de odio, que estamos a la puerta del año 2024 y ya no acabe más odio en el mundo. Tenemos que buscar la paz, tenemos que buscar leyes para la gente. Y todos sabemos que el sistema educativo es una parte importante. Pues hay que coger pasos reales y exigir responsabilidad. También como intelectuales y académicos que trabajamos en Palestina, tenemos que usar nuestras palabras y seguir movilizando hasta alcanzar la libertad. Y vamos a aprovechar cada oportunidad para generar conocimiento sobre Palestina y sobre la causa palestina. Parece que esto es nuestro destino como palestinos, es resistencia. Y la resistencia vamos a usar todos los métodos para la resistencia, con el conocimiento, con las palabras, con el arte, con la cultura, con todo lo que podemos hacer y presentar sobre la causa palestina. Y quiero agradecer vuestro apoyo y vuestra empatía como pueblo, hablando como pueblo, con la causa palestina. Eso significa mucho para nosotros, la verdad. Mientras la falta de responsabilidad política y legal, tanto los gobiernos europeos como árabes, pero cuando vemos el apoyo de los pueblos europeos y árabes, eso la verdad nos da mucha fuerza para seguir resistiendo y luchando para conseguir la libertad que merecemos todos. Y gracias.
Gracias, Profesora Herawish. Thank you very much for your talk. Let's go on to Professor Hader.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to just say a couple of words in Spanish and then I'm going to switch into English. So, gracias María y Laura por la invitación. Es un placer estar con colegas estelares y gracias por emprender esta gran iniciativa. Especially your support for Palestinian academics is not just an act of solidarity, but a bold stand for academic liberty and the pursuit of truth in these dark times of McCarthyist persecution that have targeted even university presidents around the world. The Palestinian academic community, often besieged by constraints and adversities, finds in your support a beacon of hope and a testament to the unyielding spirit of scholarly collaboration across borders. I would like to take a minute before we go on and share with you a presentation I did. I wanted to introduce Bethlehem University first of all. I don't know how much you know about Bethlehem University. Can you all see the PowerPoint?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
That's
good.
fine.
Excellent. So just a little background. Bethlehem University was founded in October 1973 with 1,112 students. Bethlehem is a Catholic coeducational institution in the Lassallean tradition, and it is the first registered university in Palestine. I was wondering if it's possible to play a video, a very short video that I wanted to share with you about Bethlehem University and the history of struggle and that characterizes Bethlehem and Palestinian universities. Is it possible to play it? Or can I just send you the link and you can watch it whenever you want to?
Yes, please send
Okay.
us the link with better.
Okay, I'll do that. So what I wanted to do, like what Rana mentioned before, Bethlehem University, like other Palestinian universities, issued statements regarding the genocidal war in Gaza. And the statement borrowed the words of the Palestinian poet Rafik Ziyadah to talk about "We Teach Life." I can also send you the long statement that you can read later whenever you have the time. But it basically, again, takes a stand against the genocide of innocent people, the destruction, the massive destruction of every form of life, education, every form of infrastructure in Gaza that basically, according to UN Human Development Index, even within the first couple of weeks of war, it meant that Gaza was already 16 years back on the human development scale. So when Maria and Laura asked me to talk about what we are going through, I wanted to sort of talk a little bit about some of the daily things that our colleagues deal with and their struggles in trying to maintain the and provide high education the important service that we provide for our students, high quality education, and in these difficult times. So I asked colleagues to give me some sort of ideas about the things that they have struggled with. In addition, like we meet usually in the academic council, so we talk a lot about many issues in terms of managing classes, keeping courses running. Obviously, like many Palestinian universities, we transitioned into online teaching because many of us, especially because about half of our students come from East Jerusalem, they could not access the West Bank. I am myself in the northern part of 48, so near Haifa, I cannot really get to the West Bank. So it has been very difficult. So I asked colleagues to give me some sort of insight into some of the major issues that they struggle with. And I'm gonna go over some issues at the pedagogical and research levels that can basically give you a good sense of the daily struggles that we go through in order to maintain our mission of providing high quality education for Palestinian students. So first of all, faculty members have had to adapt to the challenging circumstances of war, obviously, from all faculties, especially when you talk about people doing clinical training and field training. It has become really almost impossible for them to try to provide the service that they provide, the education that they want to provide for their students. The challenge of providing practical and clinical training, again, has been on the mind of many faculty members. This includes challenges like reallocating clinical groups. In the hotel management, it has to do with things like kitchen and service training online, and the inability of students to complete internships in closed hotels or travel agencies. The other major issue that came up in our conversation is obviously the financial burden and the financial strain on students, their inability to afford commuting to practice areas, and again, the impact of diminishing international grants on these faculties. Some donors decided to pull their funds from BU to punish Palestinians for whatever happened. Obviously, this has impacted academic progress and quality. The war has affected the quality and progress of academic programs. This is really evident in the concerns about the competencies of students in different programs because of online training, the delay in academic research for master's students, and the difficulty in developing new programs in some faculty. And I don't have to tell you, in such circumstances, you are dealing with extreme psychological impact of the war, not only on the students, but also on faculty. And the trauma of the war really affects everybody across the board. Okay, so this aspect underscores the broader impact of such a war on mental health and well-being of Palestinian faculty and students. And obviously, thinking about the way that our students nonetheless try to be resilient and to be creative and innovative. Some students have devised, like in the nursing and health sciences, reached out to local institutions for educational and recreational activities. Some of them worked with mothers in the midwifery program. They continue to develop collaboration with different parts of the community to help, even though they cannot really reach campus, but they put their education in the service of the community. And the other part that I wanted to mention briefly is obviously the disruption of academic research activities as a result of the war, and because of the mental health and because of the uncertainty and the traumatic experiences that people have, that it really disrupted significantly the academic and research activities that we have done over the last 2 months. Obviously, academic labs, laboratories are empty. Experiments have been stopped. And obviously, in some cases, many courses, many classes have been postponed. So we had really great disruption of the academic learning process. Again, the impact on, and Dr. Riyad had talked about the impact on Gaza, but also there is an impact like not obviously as severe on the Palestinian higher education institutions in the West Bank. But again, this is not new. This builds up on a long history of cracking down on these institutions. And so the war also has affected international collaborations and mobility. If we had some faculty members from the United States and others who came to Palestine on Fulbright Fellowship, they had to leave. They could not stay. They could not teach from Bethlehem. They had to leave the country altogether. And again, there are many restrictions and limitations on research resources, whether there are tools, consumables, materials, etc. One thing that I suggested to Laura and Maria regarding the, I had some sort of information about BU, but I'll send it to you later, to think about what we can do together. And I would suggest that you would try to contact the Spanish government to start a government-funded program with Palestinian researchers to help, especially early career researchers, to develop their research portfolios. One place that we have been doing this, that have connected all Palestinian universities with international partners, is the Palestine Academy for Science and Technology. I can send you the link as well. And they have done tremendous work. I also serve on their advisory board. Some of the things that they have been doing is the science bridges, scientific societies, expatriate scholars, the S&T policy advisor project, science communications outreach, science exploring science program, medical and health science division, national initiatives, and astrophysics program. And the science bridges in particular is something that I would really recommend you try to talk to them about with the Spanish government to help build bridges between Spanish researchers and Palestinian researchers, similar to the initiatives with Germany and Quebec. So these programs have been running for quite a few years, and they have supported the research of many different Palestinian researchers and academics, and it had really contributed to the development of research portfolios. So I hope that we can continue collaborating. I hope that we will be able to get together in the future and take this to a new level. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Hader, for your general presentation, and yeah, it's working. Okay. For your general presentation and your research details. So please, Professor.
Thank you very much. My name is President's Assistant for Community Affairs at An-Najah National University in Nablus. First of all, I would like to thank our friends and colleagues from Madrid Autonomous University for organizing this meeting. It is super important for us as Palestinians under the current situation to feel that our voice is heard. And we do believe that all of these meetings is super important to raise the Palestinian voice, the voice of people, the voice of peace, freedom, and our demand for self-determination. I would like to start with just some numbers. Where we are now, while I'm talking to you now, after 7th of October, we have 18,412 victims in Gaza. We have 283 victims in West Bank. Among these 18,412, there is 7,894 young children. Majority of these children are Palestinian students, and we have around 747 elderly people, and we have 74 journalists. And in West Bank, we have among the 283, we have 66 children, 5 elderly people, and we have 14 people has been killed by the illegal settlers. This shows you that this aggression, first of all, is not just in Gaza. I know that the gap between Gaza and West Bank in the numbers, but we wake up every day as academics in West Bank, not to ask if the Israeli invade our cities or no, the question if they withdrawn after invading our cities or no. And in Palestine, we reached to the point that it is super difficult to put a plan for 1 week. Even sometimes we feel it is super difficult to have a plan for 1 day, because if we decide, for example, that tomorrow the education will be physical, students have to come to the campus to take their lectures, you cannot predict what could happen in 5 minutes. And I start with this story that at Najaf University after 7th of October, unfortunately, we were unable to continue the physical education. Students were not able to reach the campus. Academics were not able to reach the campus because it is physically very dangerous. We faced, in many cases, situation that we were not safe to reach the university from the surrounding cities. And I'm speaking like from Tulkarem to Nablus, it's 20 minutes generally. And from Ramallah to Nablus, it is 1 hour. But our students don't feel safe because physically they could be killed by the settlers. And we took a decision last month that students should come back to the campus to have a normal education. At the same day, the Israelis the settlers start to attack the students, and like directly we took a decision that it is impossible to continue the normal education. But anyway, the Israeli targeting of the Palestinian educational system did not start in 7th of October. It has started in 1948. Because when Israel destroyed the 500 Palestinian villages in 1948, and when they decided to eliminate the Palestinian national identity and the collective identity of the Palestinian people, they decided that Palestinian people should not be able to enjoy any kind of education. That's why, for example, our grandfathers didn't have the chance to study in Palestine. So those who had money had the opportunity to make their university studies and postgraduate studies in the neighboring countries or in Europe or in US. But the majority of people, a person like me, for example, I belong to a low-class family because my father and my grandfather lost their house in Lud city in 1948, which is now part of Israel. I didn't have any opportunity for my grandfather, neither for my father, to make their BA studies or postgraduate studies for pure economic reasons. And Israel was completely fine with this situation, that Palestinian people cannot have any kind of opportunities to continue this education. But our people, from the very first steps of our national struggle for freedom and justice, we understood very well that in Palestine, maybe during 60th and 70th, we did not have any kind of sovereignty of our natural resources, or we did not have natural resources. So the very only resources we needed to develop was the people, the humans. That's why we started building universities in the 70th of the last century. Birzeit University, Beit Lahem was the first one, then An-Najah University. And that was very important and strengthening point in the Palestinian history, but that as well shown very clearly that the Israeli government started to target the universities. For example, in the first Intifada, which has started in 1987, all the universities has been closed by military order by the occupation. As well, the presidents of most of the universities has been forced to leave Palestine to Jordan. And from 1987 till 1993, most of the university has been closed. Simply because the Israeli knows that investment in the education means a long investment for freedom and a long investment for self-determination, and that was a long investment as well for peace and for stability in the region. What we witness now after 7th of October, that Israel reached to the point that closing the universities is not enough. Preventing students to reach their universities is enough. So simply, they decided to destroy the university. In Gaza, we have 17 universities. 12 of them has been completely destroyed. And then they decided that even destruction of the buildings is not enough. So they decided to kill the academics and they decided to kill the students. We have tens of our academics in Gaza and in West Bank has been murdered or has been injured or has been arrested after 7th of October, including the president of the Islamic University in Gaza, which is one of the best universities in Palestine. And Professor Sufyan Taye is categorized as the best 2% according to the American standards in the chemistry or in the mathematics. The Israeli decided to kill him just because he's a Palestinian shining and a future scientist. Thousands of our students are not able not just to reach their university in the short term, but many of them as well has been injured during the aggression on Gaza, and they could be disabled and unable to reach the university. So you can imagine that the most crowded area in the world, Gaza, which is 360 kilometers square, we have 17 universities. 12 of them has been completely destroyed. Which kind of a message Israel want to send to the world? Simply, they want to say that there is no Palestinian nation and Palestinian people doesn't deserve to have a Palestinian state. I see demolishing the universities in Gaza, it's a step to transfer people out, because now Israel, not just because Israel is a fascist state, they destroy hospitals, churches, mosques, and universities. No, there is a political reason behind that, because Israel want to leave Gaza after this genocidal crimes in a situation that you need tens of years to rebuild it. So no clean water, no infrastructure, no universities, no mosques, no churches, no hospitals, no food. So the people will simply decide to move their houses. This is the strategy, this is the policy. And unfortunately, what we see that international community witnessing the killing of our students, academics, destroying our universities, while I don't really understand why this silence has continuing since now 68 days. I really don't understand in Ukraine, and I don't like generally to compare between suffering, because suffering is a suffering. But in Ukraine, we have almost 5,500 victims, and the whole international community showing solidarity, taking actions, and putting sanctions. While in Palestine, we have the most radical Israeli government in the history of Israel. We have the fascists in the state now in Israel who run the government is Smotrich. Smotrich says in the media, not in the closed doors. In the media, he says that Palestinians have the three choices: to live slaves in their house, in their lands, with no political or economic rights, or to transfer to another countries, or to be genocided by the Israeli army. He said that in public. And the international community opened the doors for Smotrich. Ben Gvir, the minister of what is called internal security in Israel, in his hands, online, like he contributed 20,000 gun machines for the illegal settlers to kill us, to kill our people. Netanyahu, he says publicly that he's the very only leader in Israel who will prevent any chance for Palestinian state in the future. And unfortunately, we see the American veto always ready to protect these fascist people. And we see the international silence doing nothing. I do believe that this will lead to more escalation in the situation, because we, the Palestinians, we were in this land for 5,000 years ago. We're still here and we will be here. We will not become a refugee again, because we are the Palestinians and we do believe that Palestine is the very only place for us. That led to the 7th of October. Gaza is the biggest air prison all over the world. 2.2 million living in 360 kilometers, without water, without enough food, without infrastructure, under the whole Israeli control from all sides. And when they decided to react, they has been described as a terrorist by the world. It is not fair, because we have to peel the elephant in the room, which is the occupation. The war did not start in the 7th of October. The history has started in 1924, even before, in 1917, when we became under the British, what I think it was not a mandate, it was an occupation. The international community was enjoying watching the suffering of our children, women, elderly people, since more than 8 decades, with doing nothing except giving all the green light for Israel to do whatever they want. And 7th of October was the consequence of the suffering of 7 million Palestinians in Gaza and in West Bank. So until the moment, we're still unclear what is the number of our colleagues that has been killed in Gaza and in West Bank in the academic field. We're still unable to count the number of our students who has been killed. So it is the time for the whole international community, for us as academics and students, to take action and to say enough is enough. Palestinian people deserve to have a very normal life, like all the people all over the world. We don't ask anybody. What we call from the international community is to respect their demands. We have to colleagues, Dr. Riyad and Dr. Khalil and Dr. Rana, when they spoke about the importance of the international cooperation, the importance of working together, the importance of building better tomorrow, because in Palestine we have the best academics all over the world. Our academics in Palestine at Al-Najah and in the other universities are categorized in the best 2% in their fields. So we can be part of the development of the whole globe, not just in Palestine, and we can participate with you to work for better environment, for better gender policies, for better political researches. And we have to start now because we fed up as Palestinians from slogans and from promises. We have been promised by international community in a normal life since more than a century. And it is the time for us to start. And I do believe the academic field could be the best one in order to start a Palestinian or a better life for whole people in Middle East, where we can reach a win-win situation, where we can have a normal life and a peace for everybody. I would like to finalize my words by saying that every time we were waiting the international community to have a rendezvous with the courage, but unfortunately, all the previous times, the international community shocked us by ignoring the courage and going to interviews with and to meetings with the coward. We want a real courage decision and position which can avoid any losing of victims of civilians in the future. And for us as Palestinians, we are very clear. Losing any civilians' lives is a tragedy. But in order to stop that, we need again to recognize the Palestinian needs and rights and to see the elephant which is filled the room, which is the Israeli occupation. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a short time to questions, comments. Bueno, nos queda un poco de tiempo para preguntas, comentarios que quisierais hacer. Concretos quizás. Cuanto más concretos, mejor. Y ponemos el micro aquí. Lo pongo. ¿De alguna? Si la gente que está conectada por el chat puede hacerla, bueno, o puede hacerla directamente o escribiendo. Marusha.
Hola, en inglés, ¿no?
Mejor, sí.
Sí. Hi everyone, thank you so much. It was super interesting. I have mainly two questions. The first question is, and some of you have already pointed at some ideas, but could you please give us, as academics in Spain, kind of a few, like a list of or a few points on what can we do to support you? What are the needs that you have that we should fulfill as a network of Spanish academics in solidarity with Palestine? That was the first one. The second one would be kind of like in the opposite direction. Would you be okay with maybe repeating this kind of event for different universities? Because I think we could, if you're up for it, if we can have like a list or your contacts, I think many of us would love to organize this kind of event in our universities and try to get as many students and faculty as possible to replicate this conversation, because it was really, really good. Thank you so much, and big love and solidarity.
Gracias, Marusha.
The question is for me. Okay. First of all, thank you very much for your
No se escucha.
Please.
Okay, thank you very much for your kind words. It's really very touchable. First of all, it's a very deep question what we can do. I do believe that, first of all, our struggle for freedom and justice is the struggle in behalf of all the humanity, because we struggle for better tomorrow, and we struggle in behalf of all the people against apartheid and against racism. The best to do, always, I say, the best for any academics or young activists to come to Palestine to see in his eyes what's going on. But to those who cannot come, I think we can do many things. This occupation, as long as they get profits from their occupying of our lands, they will sustain it. Netanyahu and Smotrich, as capitalists, as liberals, when they look in the mirror, they never ask themselves if our occupation is online with morals or no. They ask if it's costly or no. So it's super important to make this occupation costly, in the moral side, in the political side, as well in the economic side. So I do believe, for example, that BDS and the right of BDS is super essential, simply because, for example, boycott the settlements product. What is it? It's simply, if I come to this room and I steal the furniture here, and tomorrow I ask you to buy it, it's simply what's going on. They steal our water, they steal our olive, and they steal our natural resources, and tomorrow they sell it to us. This is a slavery. This has to be ended. And that was very fruitful in India and in South Africa. So we don't need to test something. It's already tested. The third thing, I think it is the time to push our governments to take a stand, because we heard your Prime Minister talking about the recognition of the state of Palestine. Your government recognized the state of Israel in 1948. And later on, 70. Okay. So now I think it is already tens of years late to recognize the state of Palestine. And in this way, we don't ask not to recognize Israel, but what we ask is just equality, to recognize the state of Palestine. And I think it is very timely with the social democratic government. Your Prime Minister already mentioned that it is on his agenda, and I think pushing towards this system from the academics, students, and the whole academic field could be super important, and try to publish what's going on in Palestine. Every one of us could do a lot. Israel has a program called Hasbora. Hasbora is something like public diplomacy. And they did everything possible to mislead the international community. At the first day, you all remember, they spoke about raping women. And then even the White House apologized. They said there is no evidence. They spoken about beheaded children. And then the whole international community discovered that it is misleading news. We don't want to put a misleading news. We just want to put the Palestinian facts in front of the international community, of the Spanish people, because everybody has the right to understand what's going on in Palestine. Now, in spite of all the limitations we have on the social media in Palestine, Facebook, Twitter, and other sources, but we have this small window where we can contribute and tell our narrative to the international community. You could be our partner in telling what's going on in Palestine by very peaceful methods, by using social media. Going to the streets is very important, because for me, as a Palestinian, I understand what does it mean, solidarity. Like when I see you in the streets, when I see thousands of people in Madrid, that's important message that I am not alone, and that my struggle is heard, and my needs is heard, and my right of self-determination is heard. Finally, I would say that it's super important to try to build the bridge with Palestinian universities, student councils, NGOs, people to people, because we are the 99, not the government. We are the real power. If we invest our power, we could make that change. And regarding to your second question, of course, I'm very ready anytime via Zoom, coming. Like we are here to tell the truth, and we are very ready. If not just me, even my colleagues at Najaf University, we are very ready to present the daily life of Palestinians. So just let us know and we would be super happy.
Thank you. Jamil left the talk, I think, and maybe Rana is still there.
Sí.
Ah, sí, que, perdón, entre el inglés y el castellano, el español. Sí, que si querías agregar algo o tenías alguna pregunta adicional.
Si
No sé
si yo tenga una pregunta,
sí.
yo la verdad
O
que
si quieres agregar algo.
Quiero hablar sobre la importancia de la comunidad académica, el poder que podemos de alzar la voz y que la voz llegue a todo el mundo a través de las instituciones académicas, las universidades. Hay muchas maneras para hacerlo. Quiero insistir que hacer más charlas, reuniones y hacer todo lo que podemos por la causa palestina y por dejar las cosas claras sobre la causa palestina y todo lo que está pasando. Y no sé si podemos hacer algo para insistir a los gobiernos, porque la verdad, la única cosa y la cosa más importante ahora que queramos todos, creo, es alto de fuego inmediato a Gaza, porque es inhumano lo que está pasando. Y en esto yo creo que todos estamos pensando en la misma cosa. ¿Cómo podemos ayudar para participar en alzar la voz para alto del fuego inmediato a Gaza?
Gracias, Rana. El profesor Ayad quiere agregar algo.
Bueno, sí. ¿Me escuchan?
Sí, escuchamos.
Sí, yo la verdad que como los colegas que estaban hablando sobre la educación universitaria y las universidades, pero yo quiero hablar sobre la situación y la conclusión de la situación en Franja de Gaza por lo que estamos viviendo, porque todas las instituciones, universidades y educativas ya están destruidas. Por eso que nuestra situación educativa lo que pedimos que a todos los académicos y así a apoyar la situación para llegar a un alto de fuego humanitario en Franja de Gaza. Pero lo que quiero decir así, resumiendo, una cosa que nosotros sobre la situación que vivimos en Franja de Gaza. Aún estoy en España, pero estoy conectando todas las noches y días en nuestra situación en Franja de Gaza. Como estamos ahí, pero ahora estamos viviendo en España. Le digo, en el objetivo israelí de la guerra es destruir el Franja de Gaza. Y segundo, que convertirla en una zona desastre. Quiere decir, es difícil construir universitarios. Para que esta situación no opta para la vida y empujar a sus residentes a una inmigración forzada como en el 48 y ahora en 2023. Y por eso que decimos que todo está destruido de venganza y castigo colectivo. A pesar de la guerra actual, lo que está contra el pueblo palestino en el Franja de Gaza, ¿qué creo yo? Yo digo que creo que con toda confianza nosotros, que el pueblo palestino se mantendrá de pie y continuará su lucha hasta lograr sus derechos inalienables y establecer y vivir en un Estado independiente, democrático como los demás países y vivir en paz y en el mundo. Por eso nosotros, a partir a pesar de esta guerra, el pueblo palestino en Franja de Gaza, aún que está bajo el fuego todas las horas del día, que está pensando en fin y al cabo que va a lograr tener sus derechos de tener un Estado independiente, porque aún la otra parte de la autoridad palestina es Cisjordania y Jerusalén. Nosotros esperamos que a partir de esta guerra llegamos a nuestro derecho, y es el derecho de vivir en paz y en un Estado independiente como los demás países. Eso es lo que quería resumir mis palabras. Gracias. ¿Sí?
No va.
¿Me
Ahí.
escuchan?
Ahora. Sí.
Well, I'm Carmen Rodriguez. I belong to the Arab Muslim Studies Department. That's some of my colleagues and friends here. And we are in collaboration with the Department of Political Science and International Relations, preparing two kind of conferences. One on to show in which ways the international humanitarian law has been breached in these terrible genocidal actions that have been carried out since the 7th of October. And the other one is because there will be an end to this massacre in the end, and we have the intention, also in line with what you have suggested, in which ways we could push our governments. That would be to hold a conference to set up the agenda of what would be fair to deal with once the political negotiations start. So our idea is to set up these two type of conferences, the one on the international humanitarian law and the second about a political agenda for the future of the state of Palestine.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for these efforts. And I would like to suggest that at the Najah National University, we are very interested as well, and we suggest to make it a joint conference, the two conferences. In the political science, I can tell you that we already am the head of the political science department, and we have this kind of activities with Hallam University in Sheffield, and as well with the Nonviolence University in Lebanon. And we are very ready to organize such activities together. We could make it a blind one between Palestine and Spain. We could make it via digital means. But regarding to the political agenda, well, I do believe that in the previous 30 years, we the Palestinians and the Israelis get used to read from two different books. That Israelis read from their religion, background, narrative, culture, and every successive government came and they say, I don't recognize the responsibilities of the previous government, and you have to start from the beginning. And with the Palestinians as well. And we understand the conflict from our background. It is the time to read this from the one book, main book, which is everybody read it as others, which is international law and UN resolutions. So the answer is very easy for any political path. First of all, I do believe that Americans cannot be any more honest broker for the peace process, because they never been, by the way. America get used to be very biased, but this time they passed biasment. Now they are a full partner in the genocide against our people. Our children killed every day by the American weapons. So we don't see America as honest broker anymore. We need a multiple mediation for the peace process. UN, I don't know who else, but America cannot play this role anymore again, alone. The second thing, we need very clear references for the peace process. Should be UN resolutions and human rights and UN decisions belong to the Palestinian and Israelis since 1948. 47, we have 181 partition plan, we have the right of Palestinian refugees to come back to their homes. This is the very only way. But if we go to the negotiation, just to negotiate, this will be, again, very useless. We should have very limited time frame with a very clear references, with a very honest mediators. This is the very only way. Otherwise, we will have again and again a circle of violence, because as long there is apartheid and occupation, it will be resistance, and it will be is a Palestinian reaction. So now it is the time for international community to take it. And again, I want to tell you that if we have endless negotiation, this is the best way to waste more time, more lives, and to go to another time to the violence. But we need very clear vision based on what it's called international legitimacy.
Thank you. Right. ¿Alguna otra pregunta? Si no, vale, hoy. Muy cortas porque no, tenemos que cerrar el acto, ¿vale? Entonces, sí.
Hello. Well, first of all, I want to thank all the professors from the Palestinian territories who come here who speak with the truth, and thank you so much. And well, the second I want to ask, from all these that you said about all the massacres, and I mean, yes, but what I consider are really about most is, well, right now, because this, I am a student of history. I am a contemporary history master. I trade the status, the terror of Palestine, the conflict twice in two current wars before. And what I want to ask is, right now we could feel optimistically about the course that is happening right now. I mean, because remember that about the UN, well, the United States wants to wants to close what's the name of this, the alto el fuego, the fire.
Ceasefire.
Well, I mean, the United States tried to deny, but eventually the Europeans and the other states of the UN decided to keep going, but without the United States. So that could be a little optimistic to put a solution to this war, or, well, I don't know, because I mean, everyone wants to do something, because we need to do something, not only you, but us. But the problem is, I mean, I don't know how to not to be feeling so useless after all of this, because when this happened, I mean, in the email, the director of the Faculty of Philosophy and Letters you said specifically that she didn't recognize this act. So why she didn't recognize it? I mean, that's the point. I mean, we can feel optimistic.
Look, I don't think it is. Unfortunately, I'm not optimistic regarding to that issue, because we have 99% of the world with us. The very only state which denies ceasefire, even according to the voting in the Security Council last week, was US. But unfortunately, the life is not that romantic one. And if you have the majority, it doesn't mean that you can pass or you can save the lives of the people. Unfortunately, who have the veto can decide. And unfortunately, until the moment, it's very clear that could be some disappointments between Biden and Netanyahu as a person. But in the strategic level, it's super clear that America is still ready to raise the veto every single time Israel needs to kill more Palestinians. So that's why I say it is very important to push and to make this occupation costly, because the very only way can stop Netanyahu when he sees that the cost of this occupation is more than the benefits.
Bueno, voy a complementar su respuesta, y efectivamente para superar este obstáculo o esta complicidad. Sí que hay una estrategia que se ha demostrado bastante efectiva por el momento, y es la estrategia de la campaña de boicot, desinversión y sanciones, que justamente lo que hace es dar un rol a la ciudadanía en el resto del mundo para presionar a nuestros gobiernos que realmente apliquen el derecho internacional y sancionen efectivamente las violaciones del derecho internacional humanitario realizadas cotidianamente por Israel. Creo, bueno, vamos a dar por terminado el acto. Agradecemos, bueno, mucho a los que estáis aquí presentes y a las personas que nos han seguido por internet. Bueno, esperamos efectivamente que este no sea más que el primero de una serie de actos para intentar efectivamente lograr el objetivo de reforzar los lazos de cooperación e investigación con las universidades en Palestina.
Y agradecemos especialmente a las profesoras y profesores palestinos, al doctor Yad, al doctor Raed, que está aquí presente con nosotros, a Rana y a Yamil, que ha tenido que irse pronto, por su participación. Ha sido enormemente importante conocer las voces directamente desde Palestina, y esto es el inicio, como dice mi compañero Héctor, para seguir pensando, y también para las profesoras y profesores de la Universidad Autónoma de Madrid. Estamos aquí reunidas para volver a encontrarnos y seguir pensando cómo, desde lo que nos han dicho hoy, podemos seguir luchando en solidaridad con Palestina y con lo que está sucediendo. Así que os damos de nuevo enormemente las gracias y nos emplazamos pronto para un nuevo encuentro, en este caso ya después de las vacaciones de Navidad.
Shukran for your question. Thank you.